Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next hour. US President Trump says peace talks going along well after US-Ukraine talks in Florida. Says there is good chance of a deal. Special envoy Steve Witkoff heads to Russia today. Trump confirms call with Maduro, details undisclosed. Expands surveillance capabilities in Venezuela's neighboring countries. Venezuela's National Assembly to investigate US boat strikes. Winter session of India's Parliament begins Monday. 13 bills, including atomic energy and insurance, to be taken up. Government to push reforms agenda. Death toll rises to 334 as Cyclone Ditwa leaves a trail of destruction and death. President terms it largest natural disaster, warns that recovery will take time. Storm weakens into deep depression. Virat Kohli's 52nd ODI turn powers India to a thrilling 17-run win over South Africa. India take 1-0 lead in the 3-match ODI series. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio described Sunday's meeting between US and Ukrainian officials in Florida as very productive, noting that work still remains to end Russia's conflict in Ukraine. He said there are many moving parts involved and that Russia will also need to be part of the process. The talks focused on ongoing military and humanitarian support for Ukraine. Special envoy Witkoff is set to travel to Moscow on Monday, where he is expected to meet Russian counterparts for further talks this week. Ukrainian Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council, Rustem Umerov, also highlighted the success of the meeting. Listen in.
We had another very productive session, building off Geneva, building off the events of this week. As I told you earlier this morning, our goal here is to end the war, but it's more than just to end the war. We don't just want to end the war, we also want to help Ukraine be safe forever, so never again will they face another invasion, and equally importantly, we want them to enter an age of true prosperity.
We were discussing about the future of Ukraine. We discussed all the important matters that are important for Ukraine, for Ukrainian people, and the US was super supportive. We already had a successful meeting in Geneva, and today we continued this success. So at the moment, this meeting was productive and successful. On the later stages, hopefully, we will keep you updated.
US President Donald Trump also said on Sunday that talks about a peace deal with Russia were going along well, hours after Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with Ukrainian officials and expressed optimism about progress despite challenges ending the more than 3-year-long conflict.
Well, they're going along, and they're going along well. We want to stop people from being killed. Doesn't have much to do with us. But I'd like to see if we could save a lot of souls. A lot of people are being killed.
Have you spoken with Rubio and Witkoff since
I have, yeah. I've spoken to them, and they're doing well. Ukraine's got some difficult little problems. They have some difficult problems. But I think Russia would like to see it end, and I know Ukraine would like to see it end.
Lithuania's Vilnius airport temporarily halted operations on Sunday due to suspected balloons in its airspace, the latest in a series of flight disruptions in the Baltic nation. European aviation has repeatedly been thrown into chaos in recent months by drone sightings and incursions, including in Copenhagen and Brussels. The Vilnius airport has been closed at least 10 times since early October. The Baltic country accused Belarus of allowing smugglers to use weather balloons for contraband cigarettes, calling it a hybrid attack. In response, Belarus President Lukashenko condemned the border closure as a crazy scam and accused the West of waging a hybrid war, creating a new era of division. In October, Lithuania closed both crossing points on the Belarus border in response to balloons, but reopened them last week as the air traffic interruptions appeared to have stopped. US President Donald Trump confirmed that he had spoken with Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, but did not provide details on what the two leaders discussed.
We consider Venezuela to be not a very friendly country. They sent millions of people, really, and probably a number in excess of that. And a lot of those people shouldn't be in our country, from jails, from gangs, from drug dealers, from all of the people that came into our country shouldn't have been in our country, causing a lot of problems.
Does your warning
and drugs.
Does your warning mean that an airstrike is imminent, or should we not read it that way?
Don't read anything into it.
The New York Times reported that you had a phone call with Maduro. Did you?
I don't want to comment on it. The answer is yes.
And can you tell us a little bit
No,
about
I can't do that.
Mr.
Would
President,
you say it went well?
I wouldn't say it went well or badly. It was a phone call.
Earlier on Saturday, Trump said the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela should be considered closed in its entirety, but gave no further details, stirring anxiety and confusion in Caracas as his administration ramps up pressure on Maduro's government. When asked whether his airspace comments meant strikes against Venezuela were imminent, Trump said, "Don't read anything into it." Trump said he would look into whether the US military had carried out a second strike in the Caribbean that killed survivors during a September operation, adding he would not have wanted such a strike. US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has said the strikes are lawful but are intended to be lethal. Maduro and senior members of his administration have not commented on the call. Meanwhile, Venezuela's National Assembly will form a special commission to investigate US President Donald Trump's deadly strikes on suspected drug trafficking boats off the Venezuelan coast and in the eastern Pacific Ocean. The congressional body's president, Jorge Rodriguez, said the investigation would look into a Washington Post report that said US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth ordered all people aboard one of the boats to be killed during a strike in September. Rodriguez said they are going to carry out a rigorous and deep investigation, adding that the country's prosecutor's office would be involved. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu submitted a formal request for a presidential pardon during his trial on corruption charges. The 111-page request delivered to President Isaac Herzog marks the first time a sitting Israeli Prime Minister has sought a pre-conviction pardon while still contesting charges of fraud, bribery and breach of trust. Netanyahu, who has been on a trial for 6 years, is attempting to end the case without admitting guilt and without stepping aside from office. Netanyahu said the corruption cases against him are tearing the country apart, and it was in his personal interest to prove his innocence in the ongoing trial, but the public interest dictates otherwise.
The state of Israel faces great challenges alongside great opportunities. In order to push away the threats and realize the opportunities, a national unity is required. The continuation of the trial is tearing us apart from the inside, is stirring heated controversies, intensifies rifts. I'm sure, like many others among the people, that the immediate end of the trial will help a lot in lowering the flames and in promoting a wide reconciliation that our country needs so much.
Netanyahu's request came as United States President Donald Trump pushed Herzog to pardon Netanyahu in the cases in question. Herzog also received a letter from Trump earlier in November urging him to consider the pardon. Netanyahu is up against 3 separate cases of corruption filed in 2019, which include allegations of bribery, fraud and breach of trust. He denies the charges and has pleaded not guilty. Polling stations in Honduras closed on Sunday evening as voters and electoral observers denounced officials for turning away citizens still waiting to vote in a tightly contested presidential election. The National Electoral Council had extended polling station hours and gave individual voting stations the authority to remain open an additional hour. However, some locations appeared to close while voters were still waiting. The election to choose Honduras' next president for the 2026-2030 term is a virtual 3-way tie between former Defense Minister Rixi Moncada of the ruling leftist Libre Party, from former Tegucigalpa Mayor Nasre Asfura of the Conservative National Party and television host Salvador Nasrallah of the centrist Liberal Party. The vote has been conducted under intense international scrutiny following mutual fraud accusations among candidates. The Organization of American States demanded a process free of intimidation and fraud, while US President bagged Asfura and threatened to cut aid if he loses. The US President announced that the pause on asylum decisions will continue indefinitely following the deadly shooting near the White House that killed a National Guard member and critically injured another. The accused is an Afghan national and had entered the United States during the 2021 Afghan airlift. He was granted asylum earlier this year. Officials are blaming what they describe as lax vetting under the previous Biden administration for his admission to US soil. President Trump has suggested migration from what he called all third world countries may be paused to allow system to recover. The measure applies to citizens of 19 countries, including Afghanistan, Cuba, Haiti, Iran, and Myanmar.
The people from different countries that are not friendly to us and countries that are out of control themselves. Countries like Somalia that have virtually no government, no military, no police. All they do is go around killing each other. I don't think they're all third world, but in many cases they are third world. They're not good countries. They're very crime-ridden countries. They're countries that don't do a good job. They're countries that don't register from the standpoint of success. And we frankly don't need their people coming into our country telling us what to do.
Tesla CEO Elon Musk has defended the H-1B visa program, saying the US economy has greatly benefited from Indian immigrants. He made the comments during a podcast. Musk said the United States needs highly skilled workers from India more than ever before, while also criticizing some outsourcing companies for misusing the visa system. He said America has gained enormously from Indian talent. Musk added that his companies constantly struggle to fill specialized positions because there is always a shortage of talented people. His remarks come at a time when the H-1B program under President Donald Trump's second term has acknowledged the need for skilled foreign workers, but has also taken a stricter regulatory approach. Britain's Labour government is preparing one of the most sweeping criminal justice reforms in decades, aiming to clear a massive court backlog. However, the push to scale back jury trials is already sparking debate about fairness and the future of justice in the UK. DD India's Rupa Kumar Jha has a report.
The UK Labour government is preparing to unveil a major overhaul of the criminal justice system next week, targeting a Crown Court backlog that has surged to nearly 80,000 cases. Officials warn the figure could cross 100,000 by 2028 without sweeping reforms. According to the Deputy Prime Minister and Secretary of State for Justice, David Lammy, victims are being failed by year-long delays, with some hearings now scheduled as far ahead as 2030. More than a quarter of cases wait over a year, while in rape cases an estimated 60% of complainants withdraw before trial. The reforms are expected to build on recommendations made earlier this year, urging moving thousands of trials away from juries for less serious offences. The proposal comes amid a deeper crisis in the justice system. Prisons are operating at more than 97% capacity, probation services are struggling to recruit, and remand levels have hit their highest point in 5 decades. Campaigners, however, warn that limiting jury trials could disproportionately harm ethnic minorities and increase the risk of miscarriages of justice. With serious crime indicators rising, including over 51,000 knife offences and more than 500,000 shoplifting cases last year, the government faces a tight balance between speeding up justice and safeguarding fairness. Rupak Kumar Jha's report for DD India.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa dismissed US President's threat to exclude Pretoria from next year's G20 summit. Ramaphosa called Trump's remark baseless, reaffirming South Africa's status as a founding member of the group. The G20, which brings together 19 countries plus the European Union and now the African Union, concluded its annual summit under South Africa's presidency earlier this month. All G20 members attended meetings throughout the year except the United States, which skipped the leaders' summit and final preparatory sessions. Washington cited the same allegations Trump reiterated this week as its reason for staying away. Despite the diplomatic rift, South Africa formally handed over the presidency to the United States for 2026, observing protocol. Ramaphosa noted that US businesses and civil society groups engaged actively in G20 related events such as the Business 20 and Social Summit. And still to come on DD News. Swiss voters reject a proposed 50% tax on inherited fortunes of 50 million Swiss francs or more. Disney's new animated adventure Zootopia 2 garners an estimated $556 million in global ticket sales over the US Thanksgiving weekend. Thousands of Flamengo fans celebrate the team's fourth Copa Libertadores title triumph.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD News. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Sri Lanka continues to grapple with one of its deadliest natural disasters in recent years as the death toll from Cyclone Ditwah's aftermath has risen to 334, with 370 people still missing. The storm, which made landfall in late November 2025, caused catastrophic flooding and landslides across all 25 districts. Central hill areas of Kandy and Badulla are particularly hit hard. Widespread floods and landslides continue to cut off several districts. President Anura Kumara Dissanayake addressed the nation and assured that the state of emergency will be used to speed up relief and recovery. The Sri Lankan and Indian forces continue to carry out large-scale rescues. India's weather department said that the cyclonic storm Ditwa is very likely to move nearly northwards parallel to North Tamil Nadu, Puducherry coasts during the next 24 hours. Red alert has been reduced to orange alert, meaning heavy rains with light thunderstorms are likely in one or two places in Chennai. The last group of Indian passengers stranded were evacuated under Operation Sagar Bandhu at Bandaranaike International Airport in Colombo following Cyclone Ditwa. In a post on X, the High Commissioner of India in Sri Lanka said the stranded passengers were seen off by Indian High Commissioner Santosh Jha before boarding an Indian Air Force aircraft to Thiruvananthapuram. India has intensified rescue efforts under Operation Sagar Bandhu, deploying helicopters and NDRF teams across the hardest hit regions. The Indian Air Force, in close coordination with Sri Lankan authorities, carried out major rescue and evacuation operations in the landslide-affected Kotmale region, which remains completely cut off by road. Across the day's missions, IAF helicopters evacuated a total of 400 stranded passengers, including 6 critical casualties and 4 infants, and brought them safely to Colombo. These included over 30 foreign nationals from countries such as Germany, South Africa, Slovenia, the UK, Poland, Belarus, Iran, Australia, Pakistan and Bangladesh, along with Sri Lankan citizens. To reinforce ground relief efforts, the IAF also airlifted Sri Lankan army personnel into the affected area to support rescue and clearance operations. The scale and speed of these missions underline India's steadfast commitment to assisting Sri Lanka in its hour of need, with the Indian Air Force delivering swift, coordinated and compassionate HADR support under challenging conditions. India aircraft C-130J landing in Colombo, bringing further humanitarian relief items. This includes about 4 tons of Bhishma modular trauma cubes, about 5 tons of medical supplies. Bhishma cubes are highly durable and rapid deployment mobile primary health units equipped with diagnostic equipments and compact surgical stations designed for disaster situations. India continues Operation Sagar Bandhu as Cyclone Ditwa is considered as one of the most the natural disasters, as per the President Anurag Kumar Dissanayake said, and he also said that the state of emergency will be used to provide all the assistance in the country. All right, and the India correspondent Ahmed Moin Fayuki is joining us from Sri Lanka, and also I have with me Jay Singh, who is joining me from Chennai. First to you, Ahmed, a very good morning to you. What is the situation at Ground Zero, and how about Operation Sagar Bandhu?
Siddharth, very good morning to everyone. This is a tragic circumstance with regard to the cyclone and the aftermath that we are seeing both in India as well as in Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka, the impact of the cyclone has been huge with regard to the entire island being affected by it. I'm currently at Badulla, which is one of the worst hit places because of the landslides. Here, the NDRF teams, as you can see behind me, they are already grouping up and they are proceeding towards one of the incident sites where a massive landslide has occurred. In fact, they are already ready along with the K9 teams as well as various other equipment that has been brought in from India. And this will be deployed. And in fact, several missions have already been going on since the last 1 day. Over the last 24 hours. In fact, in Puttalam, one team has already been deployed. They have carried out several missions with regard to rescuing stranded people from flood-affected areas. In Badulla, however, there is not much of flood, but it's primarily the landslides which have impacted hugely. So people are still stuck under a considerable amount of mud and rubble, and there is a possibility of several more people.
Okay, Ahmed. Now we also have Jay Singh, who is joining us from Chennai. Jay Singh, tell us about the rainfall predictions first.
Well, the rainfall is very light to moderate only since last afternoon. There is no significant rainfall in any of Tamil Nadu or Puducherry. Day before yesterday, it was raining heavily in Nagapattinam district, but since then the system has weakened. It is not anymore a cyclone. The weather officials say it is a deep depression, which is going to further weaken into a depression. Meaningful rain activity is not being predicted by the weather department as of today.
Okay, Jay Singh, since you've just mentioned that no landfall is predicted and the depression is set to weaken and disappear in the sea itself, but still I want to ask you that are the state authorities still taking precautionary measures?
Well, since it was declared as a cyclone in the beginning, naturally the state authorities and the central government, NDRF, and even defense forces have kept some of their personnel on a standby to intervene whenever such a situation arises. But the situation hasn't arisen so far, luckily.
Okay, and did you have a word with the people? How are they prepared mentally?
Well, since last 1 week, there have been, stories about this cyclone approaching fast towards the coast, especially after the devastation it has, made in Sri Lanka, and therefore the people have already been, on a cautious note. As the system approached towards the coast in Tamil Nadu and Puducherry, it has kept weakening, and the pace of the movement of the system was very slow, and then the rain activity has also come down very significantly. So people were quite cautious. However, since Yesterday noon, people have began coming out in the open in larger numbers, including interestingly the iconic Marina Beach in Chennai was a little crowded yesterday in the evening.
Okay, Jai Singh, thank you so much for your updates. We also have Ahmed Muin Fayuki, who is joining us from Colombo. Ahmed, I want to ask you that has there been any latest advisory issued by the government there? And did you have a word with the people there? What are they saying?
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Ahmed, for all those updates. And Switzerland has overwhelmingly rejected a proposed 50% tax on inherited fortunes of over 50 million Swiss francs, with 78% of votes against the plan, an outcome that even exceeded the two-thirds opposition indicated in polls. Critics of the initiative said it could trigger an exodus of wealthy people from Switzerland, reducing overall tax revenues. Shivam Mishra unravels the proposals in details.
The Swiss first proposal, the Civic Duty Initiative, seeks to replace the current men-only military with a compulsory national service for both men and women.
Yes, I think it's good that women are subject to the same, I wouldn't say obligations, but the same constraints as men. I'm for equality. So let's start with the civic service.
Opponents argue the initiative overlooks the realities faced by women and could overload public systems.
I think it's just something extra, too much for women who already have enough to do, both professionally and with their families.
The second proposal, Initiative for a Future, put forward by the youth wing of Switzerland's Socialist Party, calls for a 50% inheritance tax on fortunes above 50 million Swiss francs, estimated to affect some 2,500 households. Supporters argue that Switzerland needs bold and sustainable funding to meet its climate goals, saying the wealthiest citizens are well positioned to contribute. Opponents, however, warn that such a steep tax could drive wealthy individuals and family-owned businesses to relocate, potentially weakening the Swiss economy and harming investment. Shivam Mishra's report for DD India.
All right, let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Colombia's Coconuco village has been placed under orange alert due to a possibility of Purase volcano eruption. The Purase, located about 600 kilometers from Bogota and near the city of Popayan, is one of the most active and closely monitored volcanoes in Colombia. In March 1977, it experienced a significant eruption. Aston Martin owner John Williams' 900-pound James Bond DB5, bought in 1973 and left to deteriorate on his driveway for decades, has been fully restored by Aston Martin Works. The 4-year project returned the classic car to showroom condition, now valued at around £1 million. Thousands of visitors flocked to Prague's medieval Old Town Square this weekend as the city unveiled its annual Christmas market featuring a 15-meter tree from the Pardubice region. Dozens of wooden stalls offered handmade decorations, mulled wine, sausages and sweets, creating a festive atmosphere that draws both locals and international travelers. Thousands of Flamengo fans poured into the streets of Rio de Janeiro to celebrate the team's 4th Copa Libertadores title victory. The victory parade showcased the Copa Libertadores trophy as players sang along with fans from atop the truck, creating a carnival-like mood. Flamengo secured their 4th Copa Libertadores title with a 1-0 victory over Palmeiras Peru. And still to come on DD India News Hour. India's Border Security Force is celebrating its Raising Day today, honoring the world's largest border guarding force. Australia celebrates International Gita Mahotsav. World AIDS Day is observed on December 1 every year. Stay with us to know more about it.
Can the US launch a bombing campaign against Iran? The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you. You read between the lines, cut the clutter, and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots at these times with me, only on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj, and a quick recap of the headlines. US President Trump says peace talks going along well after US-Ukraine talks in Florida, says there is a good chance of a deal. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff heads to Russia today. Trump confirms call with Maduro, details undisclosed, expands surveillance capabilities in Venezuela's neighboring countries. Venezuela's National Assembly to investigate US boat strikes. Winter session of India's parliament begins Monday. 13 bills including atomic energy and insurance to be taken up. Government to push reforms agenda. Death toll rises to 334 as Cyclone Ditwa leaves a trail of destruction and death. President terms it largest natural disaster, warns that recovery will take time. Storm weakens into deep depression. Virat Kohli's 52nd ODI ton powers India to a thrilling 17-run win over South Africa. India take 1-0 lead in the 3-match ODI series. The winter session of India's parliament begins today with 10 important bills likely to be taken up for passage during the session. The bills include the National Highways Amendment Bill, the Atomic Energy Bill, the Corporate Laws Amendment Bill, the Insurance Laws Amendment Bill, and the Higher Education Commission of India Bill 2025. In the Lok Sabha or the lower house, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will introduce 3 bills on the first day. The bills including the Manipur Goods and Services Tax, Second Amendment Bill 2025, the Central Excise Amendment Bill, and the Health Security and National Security Cess Bill 2025 will be introduced for consideration and passing. While in the Rajya Sabha or the upper house, members will take oath followed by Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change Bhupendra Yadav will move a statutory resolution that Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Amendment Act 2024 should be adopted in the state of Manipur. Overall, winter session will offer 15 sittings over 19 days. Government has expressed preparedness to take up any issue raised by political parties as per parliamentary rules. All the leaders have assured cooperation for the functioning of both houses. India is hosting international conference on 50 years of Biological Weapons Convention, strengthening biosecurity for the Global South in New Delhi. India's Minister of External Affairs, Dr. S. Jaishankar, is also attending the conference. India is one of the 189 states parties to the Biological Weapons Convention, a majority of them being developing countries. In line with its strong commitment to disarmament and non-proliferation, this conference is an initiative of the Government of India to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Convention's entry into force. Through discussions with scientific experts, policymakers and diplomats from different countries and representatives from international and regional organizations, the event seeks to take stock of the contribution of BWC to international peace and security, review the global developments since its entry into force. The event will also explore the way forward to strengthen the BWC for addressing future challenges. Thailand Foreign Minister is in India on his first official 4-day visit. He will meet External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar at Hyderabad House for bilateral discussions. The External Affairs Ministry has termed the visit as an opportune occasion to strengthen strategic partnership and enduring civilizational ties. In April, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in Bangkok, Thailand, to attend the 6th BIMSTEC summit. During his visit to the Southeast Asian country, PM Modi added new vigor to the bilateral friendship between the two nations during a meeting with his Thai counterpart, Petong Tang Chinawat, by elevating the bilateral ties to a strategic partnership. And we have a breaking news. The National Investigation Agency today carried out a series of coordinated raids across multiple locations in South Kashmir in connection with the Red Fort car blast case. As part of the ongoing investigation, an NIA team raided the house of Maulvi Irfan in Shopian, who has been identified as the alleged mastermind behind a white-collar terror module. Another raid was conducted at the residence of Jasir Bilal in Qazigun, Kulgam district. In addition to Shopian and Qazigun, NIA teams also conducted searches in several areas of Pulwama district, including Koil, Changam, Malangpora and Sambora. According to officials, the raids were aimed at dismantling networks involved in supporting terror activities through covert and financial channels. Digital devices, documents and other materials were reportedly seized during the searches, and a few individuals were questioned on the spot. And also we have Shabir Dar joining us from Srinagar on the phone line. Shabir, what is the latest you're getting for us?
Yeah, the raids are going on as we speak in various locations in Kashmir. As you rightly said, that these raids are aimed actually to to dismantle the terror networks involved in supporting terror activities through covert and financial channels. So we have been to understand that as a big breakthrough in this investigation, the NIA teams reached the house of Maulvi Irfan in Shopian, who is being identified as the alleged mastermind behind the white-collar terror module. And similarly, the raids are also carried in at the residence of Jasir Bilal in Qazigund, Kulgam, who's again being seen as a key conspirator in this case. So the raids are going on in many locations of Shopian, in Pulwama and in Kulgam districts. And the officials say that the raids will definitely help the investigation agencies in dismantling these terror modules. And we are given to understand that several documents and digital devices have been reportedly been seized during the searches, and few individuals have been picked for questioning. And these investigations are going with coordinated efforts to ensure that the people involved in the Delhi blast case are identified, and their modus operandi being identified, and the culprits being brought to justice. So we know that NIA continues to investigate the case to uncover further links related to the blast and broader terror funding network. So definitely a big success for the investigation agencies, and they are definitely going to widen the investigation's scope with these raids.
Definitely, Shabir, this is a big breakthrough, and definitely, what more can you tell us about the raids and the arrests, Shabir? And has there any official statement out regarding the raids and the arrests?
Yeah, see, the raids started early in the wee hours today, and as you speak, the raids are going on at several places. There is no official, statement as of now, but we believe that as they progresses, the investigation agency will definitely share further details about these raids. But as we know that Maulvi Irfan, the mastermind of the white terror module, his house is being raided, and several digital devices and some documents have been recovered from there. In Pulwama and Shopian, some individuals have been, taken into custody for questioning, to ensure that the investigators will get to, derive from them some critical information which is required for the investigation in this case. So the investigators and the police and other people who are part of these raids are going behind every person who they believe has a role in the blast case or who are involved in the white terror module. So definitely the raids are going on with the coordinated efforts, and they are making every effort to ensure that the case at hand is being investigated thoroughly and the facts are brought to the fore.
Definitely. It's a big success for investigating agencies in connection with the Red Fort car blast case, Shabir. And since this is developing, we'll keep taking updates from you throughout the day. Thank you so much. We leave it there as of now. India's Border Security Force is celebrating its Raising Day today, honoring the world's largest border guarding force. The day celebrates the legacy of bravery, sacrifice and dedication, recognizing the BSF Academy as a training ground where soldiers are molded into tough heroes. It was on December 1st, 1965 that the first sector of the Punjab frontier of the BSF was raised with its headquarters in Jalandhar. A grand ceremonial parade marking the Diamond Jubilee celebrations was held at the BSF campus, Gujarat, on 21st of November. Union Home Minister Amit Shah paid floral tributes at the BSF Memorial before reviewing the parade. The parade featured 12 foot contingents showcasing the valor, discipline and legacy of the Seema Praharis.
In the jungle where fear breathes, he stands unshaken, trained to survive, to fight, to win.
For the first time in BSF history, 4 BSF personnel executed a breathtaking skydiving display with a perfect landing in the parade arena. Amit Shah highlighted the force's stellar role in Operation Sindoor. Home Minister presented gallantry medals to the next of kin of the Seema Praharis who laid down their lives in the UN mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and awarded President's police medals for distinguished service to serving and retired personnel. Jammu Frontier received both the Maharana Pratap Trophy for Best Border, while Management and the Ashwani Trophy for Excellence in Sports and Training. As International Gita Mahotsav is on, the teachings of Lord Krishna are reaching new audiences worldwide. The Bhagavad Gita's message travelled from Kurukshetra to Australia, where the High Commission of India and the Association of Haryanvis hosted the second Gita Mahotsav. They even brought together the Indian diaspora, local communities and diplomats to reflect on Gita's guidance for a world facing conflict and uncertainty. Cultural performances included classical dance, artistic depictions of Krishna's teachings and storytelling. Scholars highlighted the Gita's relevance today, while ambassadors and senior representatives from Russia, the Netherlands, Georgia, Mauritius, Vietnam and Ukraine attended. India's High Commissioner Gopal Bagle honoured artists, scholars and volunteers, praising the community for keeping these traditions alive. The 8th edition of India-UK joint military exercise Ajay Warrior 25 concluded on Sunday at Mahajan Field Firing Ranges in Rajasthan. Over the past 2 weeks, 240 personnel from the Indian Army's Sikh Regiment and the UK Army's Royal Gorkha Rifles conducted intensive counter-terrorism training in semi-urban terrain under a UN mandate. The exercise featured joint tactical drills, heli-borne operations, room intervention, cordon and search techniques, and operational planning. The validation phase demonstrated high interoperability and precision between the forces. The closing ceremony included cultural performances, equipment displays showcasing India's indigenous defense systems, and recognition of outstanding soldiers, strengthening bilateral defense ties and commitment to global peace. Every winter, the northeastern hills of India come alive with one of the country's most colourful and culturally rich festivals, one among which is the Hornbill Festival. The festival is beginning today at Kisama Heritage Village, around 12 kilometers from Kohima, Nagaland's capital. The Hornbill Festival, organised by the State Tourism and the Art and Culture Departments, it is named after the state's cherished bird, also known as the Hornbill, featured in several folklores. The Hornbill Music Festival is known as the India's largest music festival. It encourages inter-tribal interaction and cultural displays that amalgamate into a vibrant and colorful event like no other. The 2025 edition promises to be as vibrant and engaging as every year, providing a rare window into the lives of Nagaland's tribes through dance, music, crafts, sports, and local cuisine. World AIDS Day is observed on December 1st every year. First marked by World Health Organization in 1988, the day raises awareness of HIV/AIDS and supports those living with the virus. The theme for this year is Overcoming Disruption, Transforming the AIDS Response. It emphasizes the need to not only preserve past progress, but transform HIV services to make them more resilient, equitable, and community-led. Sex workers held a candle march on the eve of World AIDS Day in Siliguri city of India's eastern state of West Bengal. March was aimed at raising awareness and mourn the loss of lives to the virus. HIV can affect anyone regardless of age, gender, ethnicity or sexual orientation, although certain groups are at greater risk because of a socio-economic status, limited access to health care, or because of higher infection rates in certain communities. Let's take a look at other stories making news. Banaras Hindu University students came together in a spirited run for Kashi Tamil Sangamam, celebrating the bond that unites Tamil Nadu and Kashi. Each step echoed heritage, unity and the shared pride that prepares us for Kashi Tamil Sangamam on 2nd of December. The Right to Empower Mumbai Cyclothon was 2025 in fact was organized by the Loha Foundation in association with the Sports Authority of India under the Fit India movement. Sunil Shetty, Jackie Shroff, Krishna Prakash and Mahima Chaudhary flagged off the ride, giving it a strong start. The event aims to bring together cycling enthusiasts, fitness advocates and citizens from all walks of life to promote the connection between physical fitness and mental well-being. The horticulture and animal husbandry departments in Jammu and Kashmir are supporting a self-help group of 7 women in Kheram Panad through various government schemes. The support aims to empower the women by facilitating livelihood generation and promotion self-reliance through farm-based activities. Cities across Tamil Nadu were beautifully adorned with lights, creating a festive ambience for the Christmas celebration. Churches and markets were illuminated with vibrant lights, sparkling stars and beautifully arranged Christmas cribs, in fact a day before the main holiday. We are heading for a break. Stay tuned to DD India. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj, and OPEC Plus has agreed to leave oil output levels unchanged for the first quarter of 2026 at its meetings on Sunday. The meeting of OPEC Plus, which pumps half of the world's oil, comes during a fresh US effort to broker a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine, which could add to oil supply if sanctions on Russia are eased. If the peace deal fails, Russia could see its supply curbed further by sanctions. OPEC Plus groups the organization of petroleum exporting countries and allies led by Russia. Brent crude closed on Friday near $63 a barrel, down 15% this year. The group has released some 2.9 million barrels per day into the market since April 2025. Australian home prices rose in November through gains. In fact, the gains in Sydney and Melbourne slowed as expectations of no near-term interest rate cuts weighed on buyer sentiment, property consultant Cotality said on Monday. National home values increased 1% in November, slightly below October's 1.1% gain. Prices are up 7.5% so far this year. Despite 3 rate cuts earlier this year, a hotter than expected inflation report has reduced hopes of further easing. Markets now see a 50-50 chance of a rate hike by late 2026. Auction clearance rates in Sydney and Melbourne remained in the lower 60 to 70% range, below decade averages. AMP chief economist Shane Oliver said price gains are likely to slow in 2026 as affordability worsens and tighter lending controls take effect. Disney's new animated adventure Zootopia 2 has raked up an estimated $556 million in global ticket sales over the US Thanksgiving weekend, the studio estimates showed on Sunday. The figure covers Wednesday through Sunday, which the Hollywood Reporter called the biggest ever worldwide launch for an animated film. The sequel brings back rookie police officers Julie Hopps and Nick Wilde, voiced by Jennifer Goodwin, and Jason Bateman as well. The pair face a new mystery when Gary DeSnake, voiced by Academy Award winner Ke Huy Quan, arrives in Zootopia. You're watching DD News. Our time now for sport, and Virat Kohli's record-extending century powered India to a nervy 17-run win over South Africa in the first ODI of 3-match series in Ranchi on Sunday. A stunning century by Virat Kohli, a 50 by Rohit Sharma and 4-wicket haul by Kuldeep Yadav were the highlights as India overcame a tough fight shown by Proteas. Putting India to bat first, South Africa paid the price as Virat Kohli, KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma took India to 349 for 8 in 50 overs. Sensational 50s from Matthew Breedske, Marco Jansen and Corbin Bosch kept South Africa's hope alive after the visitors got off to a terrible start. However, Indian bowlers held their nerve in the end and bowled out South Africa for 332 runs. With this win, India take 1-0 lead in the 3-match series. India is set to witness a historic moment in sports as the Indian Pickleball League 2025 prepares to make its debut at the KD Jadhav Indoor Hall at the Indira Gandhi Sports Complex in New Delhi. From December 1 to 7, New Delhi will host a week-long celebration of India's newest professional sporting league, bringing together world's top stars in a first-of-its-kind competition. Here's more.
Pickleball has been gaining momentum across India, with players from schools, academies and local clubs embracing the fast, energetic game. The launch of the Indian Pickleball League represents a major step forward as it will give Indian pickleball a national platform. This league is not just about competition. It is about building a pathway for young athletes, creating fan excitement and giving the sport the visibility it deserves. The inaugural season features 6 franchises: Mumbai Smashers, Hyderabad Royals, Chennai Super Warriors, Bengaluru Blasters, Lucknow Leopards, and Capital Warriors Gurgaon. Each team brings its own story, strategy, and style. The Indian Pickleball League also serves as a launchpad for India's younger players. Recent performances at the IPA Nationals, which saw over 1,500 participants, demonstrated the growing depth of talent. Internationally renowned players such as Kwang Dong, Megan Fudge, and Jack Munro joined India's top performers, including Aditya Rohela, Mihika Yadav, Priyanka Mehta, Alia Ibrahim, and Tejas Gulati, promising high-level competition and electrifying matches. The Indian Pickleball League will expand the sports audience, create structured career pathways, and inspire young athletes to pursue pickleball. From December 1 to 7, the KD Jadhav Indoor Hall at the Indira Gandhi Sports Complex in New Delhi will witness a celebration of skill and ambition. The Indian Pickleball League 2025 is where Indian pickleball takes its first confident leap into a professional future, and the excitement surrounding it promises to be just the beginning of a long and bright journey. Sports Desk, DD India.
In the end, let's show you some visuals of the BSF's ceremonial Raising Day Parade, where BSF drone painted the parade arena in tricolour. Today, the BSF stands as the world's largest border guarding organisation. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download it now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Prasar Bharati from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.